Hello there guys, welcome back to Younes Talks Football, welcome back to a brand new video. I hope all of you are doing well today. This is your match preview for Chelsea versus Everton. It's a 6-pointer, it's a big game, but I have to start with something else before we get into the details. But before I do, I'm going to ask you guys, if you are new, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to be notified. Let's get into today's nitty gritty. Liverpool! What is wrong with Liverpool? Oh my goodness, I cannot believe that our neighbours down the road, Little Fulham, have gone and done a number at Anfield and won 1-0, just like we done earlier on in the week, where we put Liverpool to the sword. Fulham have gone to Anfield and done the same thing. Yes, Liverpool have dropped even more points. I mean, I think it's safe to say at this point, Charity FC has been passed on from us to Liverpool. I think that is the case now. We are no longer Charity FC. Liverpool have that crown and no one is touching that the way they're going. Unbelievable scenes. They can't stop losing. This is a big freefall that you're seeing in front of your very eyes right now. I mean, the one stat that I have to tell you guys about says it all. Liverpool this season have lost more home games than Chelsea did in that catastrophic 15-16 season. Yes, you heard that correctly. Liverpool have lost more home games than Chelsea did in 15-16. That just shows you how much of a tragedy is going on at Liverpool at the moment. It's unbelievable. And hey, I think it's safe to say their top four hopes are pretty much in the bin. Even European football is looking completely unlikely for Liverpool now. So now we have to shift focus. We have to shift focus to the number one team in Merseyside. And yes, that's not Liverpool, that is Everton. We are playing Everton tomorrow. And hey, to be honest, Everton are playing like the number one team in Merseyside. Despite Liverpool being the current champions, Everton, they are playing in a manner, at least to a portion of what Liverpool should be playing. And they are somewhat dangerous compared to how you're seeing Liverpool play. Everton, managed by our old gaffer, Carlo Ancelotti, it's not going to be an easy game, but what falls in our favour is that this season Everton have been very 50-50. They've been very on and off. Unlike Liverpool, who are just off. Everton have had some good results and even went to Liverpool and beat them at Anfield there. So, you know, that's a big result for them. But Everton have been so on and off. They started the season with an absolute blinder. They couldn't stop winning. And then they had their little bit of a downfall. And then they managed to claw themselves back up. And since then, it's been like this. However, they are in the mix to get top four, and guided by such a manager like Carlo Ancelotti, with a couple of threats that they have on the pitch, with some blitzing pace and some good talent, they are capable of getting a top four spot. And right now, even though they are behind us, they are only 1 point behind us with a game in hand. So it means that tomorrow's game between Chelsea and Everton, and thankfully at Stamford Bridge, so it falls in our favour a little bit more, this is a 6-pointer. We have to win this. If we win this though, and this is the big if we win this, top four, I would like to come on here and say is 50% done and in the pocket, because we would be 4 points ahead of Everton. Everton having to win that game in hand to close that gap back to 1 point, and then at that point, it's just in our hands. We just have to keep winning the games in front of us, regardless of what happens behind us. We are in the top four. So it's going to get very interesting, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing how all of this is going to shape up towards the end of the season. We got to beat Everton though. That will bring everything in our favour. So let's do it, but let's get into the details. Let's get into the team. What's the latest team news? There are no other injuries except for Thiago Silva, who is currently still unavailable but should be returning very, very shortly. So we'll see exactly when he comes back into the fold. I do expect him to be fit for the Leeds game next weekend. And then after that, we have Atletico Madrid at the Bridge. So, you know, we'll see what happens. Right now, it's going to be very tough for Thiago Silva to just walk back in. Our defence have been sublime. They've been incredible. All three of them, Azpilicueta, Christensen and Rudiger, especially Christensen, who came in to fill in for Thiago Silva. We'll get into the details very, very shortly though. Let's get into the starting 11 and how Thomas Tuchel should shape up this team tomorrow against Everton. If we're looking at the way that Everton play, they aren't a team that sits back. But if I'm comparing them to Liverpool and our last game against Liverpool, I would like to say that defensively, Everton are more solid than Liverpool. So we have to take that into context. But I think the manner in how Everton are going to play is going to be that of an offensive nature. They are going to try and take the game to us. However, I think they're going to be a little bit more cautious, unlike Liverpool. And at moments during the game, they're going to stay compact and they're going to try and make life a little bit difficult for us and try and hit us on a counter-attack. That is how I think they are going to shape up, unlike Liverpool, who were all out attack, and didn't have anything up top. I mean, you know, their attack looked as useful as a chocolate fire guard. It was horrific. So Everton, I think we got to take a little bit more seriously. So we'll stick with the same formation. We'll go with a 3-4-1-2, but the two having a little bit of a hybrid here, much like we did against Liverpool with a Hakim Ziyech, who you could say was alongside Mason Mount at times, especially defensively, but offensively was alongside Timo Werner. So he was like the hybrid between the number 10 and the number 9. I think we're going to have to set up with something very similar. I would shape up with a 3-4-1-2. Edouard Mendy in goal. Untouchable right now. Hasn't really got a worry in the world. I mean, yes, he's making some good saves when it comes to it, but he's got a defence in front of him that knows what he's doing. So he can honestly just stay between the goalposts, cup of tea, packet of crisps, read a mag, see what happens, and when a threat comes, he just saves it and gets back to reading the magazine. So, you know, Edouard Mendy in goal. The back three, as I've already mentioned, Azpilicueta, Christensen, Antonio Rudiger. Untouchable. Right now, Azpilicueta showing his experience, being the club captain, doing everything that's required, and it's such a good role for him because it doesn't require him to bomb forward as much, and his age with his legs, I think as a centre-back and how solid he is, it just suits the way that he wants to play. So Azpilicueta has been superb. Andreas Christensen has filled in for Thiago Silva and he's been an absolute powerhouse. Since he's come in, he has been indestructible and has adhered to the role perfectly. Not set a foot wrong, has been very secure, great in the air, fantastic tackles, not letting anyone through, brilliant. And with that, the support that he has of Azpilicueta and Mr. Antonio Rudiger, who has come in since Thomas Tuchel has arrived at Chelsea, even before that, but Tuchel has literally ridden with Rudiger in his starting 11s all the time, and Rudiger has delivered. We saw the way that he kept Mo Salah in his pocket all game against Liverpool, and Rudiger has just been an absolute beast. Even at times where he goes forward, his tackles, his crunch tackles, the way that he gets stuck in, his physicality, his prowess, everything is fantastic. So Rudiger, brilliant. If we move into the midfield, now we saw an unlikely pairing of Jorginho and Kante against Liverpool. And we all had question marks about it when we saw the lineup released before the game. However, after the game, we've now come to realise that that pairing can actually work. And to be honest, I would play them again. If they are going to keep the same balance that they had against Liverpool and they are going to have the potential for both of them to defend very well and pass very well, not just one of them doing an individual task and the other one can't do it. I mean, both of them defensively solid, both of them getting stuck in, both of them recuperating the ball, both of them sending a long ball, both of them picking the through balls, both of them passing quickly. If they can do that, then flipping hell, why have we got to change it? For me, Jorginho and Kante against Liverpool were brilliant. As I've said, I think Everton are going to set up in a very similar nature to Liverpool. However, as I've said, I think just defensively they're going to be a little bit more compact. So that suits Jorginho and Kante to both play. I reckon that should be stuck with. So for me, Jorginho and Kante in the double pivot. Left wing back, I'm happily going to say Ben Chilwell. Yes, against Liverpool in the preview, I did say Marcos Alonso should be the one that's brought in. However, I was only concerned that Chilwell wouldn't be able to play such a good offensive game and get into the box and cut inside and become a threat himself, which we know Alonso's very good at. Chilwell done that against Liverpool, so if he's going to do that on a regular basis, I've got no problem because he's faster than Alonso and he defends better than Alonso. So I'd honestly have Chilwell if I had to choose, but only if he can carry the same offensive capabilities that we see Alonso carry. Against Liverpool, he done it, so I hope against Everton he does the same. Chilwell at left wing back. Right wing back is where I would make a change. I would bring in Callum Hudson-Odoi for this one, mainly because of his pace. I think he can defend. I don't want a right wing back like we saw in Reece James, always hesitating and passing backwards when we have an opening. We had a few openings against Liverpool. We passed backwards when we could have gone forwards. I think it's nice to have that attacking threat and that directness, and Callum Hudson-Odoi does offer that a lot. And against Everton that are going to be quite direct, I think on the counter, it would be nice to have someone that's quite direct, as well as someone that we know we had issues in the beginning, but we know that he can defend. Callum Hudson-Odoi can track back and carry out his defensive duties. So for me, I think he's got to start this one on the right-hand side at right wing-back. If we move into the number 10 position, there's only one man. There's only one man, the main man, Money Mace, Money Mace, the man who scored against Liverpool, fantastic goal, had a great game, Mason Mount. Yes, Mason Mount starts, and I think we have to utilise Mason Mount to the maximum of our capabilities because he is suspended for the Atletico game. So we have to use him as much as we can tomorrow, we have to use him as much as we can against Leeds, and then he can have that rest while he's suspended against Atletico, and then come back after that. So we'll see what happens going into tomorrow's game, going into the Leeds game. But for tomorrow, yes, he has to play. He did fantastic against Liverpool. He was everywhere. You know the way that Mason Mount provides that much energy, always has a high work rate, is able to close the ball down. His counter press is unbelievable. His technique on the ball has gotten so much better. His passing, his shooting, we know he can shoot. He's now doing it. He done it against Liverpool. And I think this is going to be a key element, not just for him, but for our men up top as well. I want to see shots like we saw against Liverpool. That was great. If we can do the same thing, I think a couple will go past Pickford, because Pickford, taking shots from distance, you know you can beat Pickford. It's crazy how that's happened, because for England he was so good, and now at Everton, I don't know what's happened to Pickford, but he is susceptible to letting some goals in from long range. So I would instruct our frontman, when you get the chance, hit it. Just shoot. So Mason Mount, we know he can hit them. I hope to see him hit them tomorrow. I want to see him on the score sheet again. That would be great. But he starts in the number 10 role. Up top, we had Ziyech, as I've said, as the hybrid against Liverpool. I would make a change. I would bring in Kai Havertz for this one. Kai Havertz for me as that hybrid is in the same context that I said before the Liverpool game, how I wanted him to be used. I wanted him to be that support mechanism for Timo Werner, as well as have that lethal left foot on the right-hand side of the front men. I think in the air, he possesses a big attribute there in terms of winning headers in the box and being a threat that way in scoring goals. I think his physicality would be a nature that would help us against Everton, unlike a Ziyech. I just think it would be a good game for him to come back and return properly. So Kai Havertz, his combinations with Mason Mount hopefully will be something to watch, and we get to see Kai Havertz in his position, you know, his proper position, where he flourished at Bayer Leverkusen was in this role. So it would be nice to see it at Chelsea. I'm confident that we will see it at some point. I just hope it starts tomorrow. I think it'd be the perfect game and the perfect circumstance for him. We'll see what happens. But for me, Kai Havertz, and then alongside him up top as the main man, Timo Werner up front. And he done brilliant against Liverpool. If he can play the same against Everton, I'm gonna, put him to score. I think he will score tomorrow. So fingers crossed he does. But that ruthlessness that he had against Liverpool, that physicality, his energy, he was everywhere, his combinations, his chances. He did take some shots. He worked Alisson. If he can do the same against Pickford, I am quite sure that, well, fingers crossed, he'll get on the score sheet. Because as far as I'm concerned, Alisson is a better goalkeeper than Pickford. Yes, Alisson's looked very dodgy recently, but if I'm going to have to compare the two, Alisson is the better goalkeeper. Pickford is susceptible to a mistake as well. Let's not forget that, as I've already clarified. It will be a good circumstance for Timo Werner to score. Hopefully, Everton are going to try and press up a little bit high. That way it gives room for Timo Werner to run in behind. I want to see that. Fingers crossed it happens. But that would be my starting 11. In terms of the score prediction, we're at home, so this suits us. I am going to say, even though I wouldn't be surprised with a draw, I really wouldn't. The same circumstance as Liverpool, I wouldn't be surprised. Everton are a good team with some good players. We know how lethal Calvert-Lewin can be. We know how direct and fast Richarlison can be. We know in terms of their wingers that they have, Bernard, Alex Iwobi, they are fast, pacey threats that we have to contain. However, I am quite confident with the nature of our system, our formation, the back three and our wing backs coming back to support, as well as Jorginho or Kante providing that defensive support as well. It does make us very hard to get through. And that's why if they are going to play with two men up top, that makes me quite confident that with three centre-backs as well as wing-backs occupying their wingers, threat averted. So despite that, I am still going to say I wouldn't be surprised to see a draw, but As long as we can put the ball in the net, I'm going to say Chelsea 2, Everton 0. As long as we don't let Everton score, I think we will get on the score sheet sooner or later, depending who it's going to be, but sooner or later, and get that W. And hopefully we win, because if we do, it goes to 4 points between us and Everton. They got a game in hand. Regardless of what happens, they remain behind us. And at that point, the fate is in our hands. Our destiny is in our claws. So let's grab it, let's take it, and decide for it ourselves. But there we are. That's the preview for Chelsea versus Everton. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you agree, disagree with my suggestions, my starting 11, my prediction? Let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear them. Hit the subscribe button if you are new. Hit that notification bell to be notified once I've uploaded. Be sure to be here for the watch along tomorrow. Yes, I will be going live during the game on another watch along as usual, and then immediately after that I will give you guys my match review as always. So I'll see you on the watch along. Thank you all so much for watching. See you tomorrow. Have a good one. Look after yourselves. Take care and peace.